Hello there, you guys. I think I'm live. I think I should give it a moment. Well, bonjour mes amis. Aujourd'hui, je vais vous lire une histoire française s'appelle Le chat qui voulait être chat du roi. Depuis, je vais jouer du alto, Vivaldi et Telemann. Derrière moi, je vais vous lire une histoire très ancienne de Rome. Je suis une étudiante de français pour 1 an et demi. J'adore parler en français et j'adore mes études français. Okay, so what did I just say? I had to write it out so that I didn't forget. Oh, I'm just glad I got through that. I said, bonjour mes amis, hello my friends. Aujourd'hui, je vais vous lire un peu une histoire française. S'appelle Le chat qui voulait être chat du roi. So today I will read you a little of this little story called The Cat That Wanted to Be the Cat of the King. Then I will play you some of the viola. We're going to play some Vivaldi and Telemann. Depuis, je vais vous jouer de l'alto, Vivaldi et Telemann. And then lastly, I will read you a little bit of history. We're going to read the tale of the flute players, which is hilarious. It's a very hilarious tale from Livy. And I know some of you went and bought this from last week, so yay. So derrière moi, je vais vous lire une histoire très ancienne de Rome. And then I said, thank you. I have been a French student for 1 year and a half, and I love speaking French, and I love my French studies. So Ahmed says, tu parles français très bien. Thank you. I need to practice. So let me begin with just a little bit of this story. Just bear with me while I read you this sweet little story. I've been studying this with my French teacher who I exchange harp lessons with. So I told her, I thought, oh my gosh, I'll try and read a little paragraph of this. So I'll read you just this first page here. Autrefois, vivait dans un bois, non loin d'un village, une chatte très belle. So once upon a time, there lived in a little forest not far from a village a very beautiful cat, à demi sauvage and half wild. Elle couchait le soir dans un arbre à la fourche de 2 branches. So she slept at night in a tree between the fork of 2 branches. Il lui arrivait aussi de passer la nuit dans une tour abandonnée à demi écroulée, envahie de plantes grimpantes. So it also happened at night that she spent the night in an abandoned tower, half crumbling, and covered with vines. Mais le matin, il n'était pas rare qu'elle aille prendre un bol de lait chez 2 vieux messieurs qui vivaient seuls, un peu à l'écart du village, dans une maison recouverte de roses. So, but in the morning, it wasn't rare that she had a bowl of milk at the home of 2 old gentlemen who lived alone, a little apart from the village, within a house covered with roses. L'un s'appelle Victor et l'autre s'appelle Monsieur. So One's name was Victor and the other's name was Monsieur. So I'll leave it there to be continued. Oh, it's so fun to see your comments. Bonjour, la belle madame. Thank you, Iggy. It's nice to see you. Let me play you some music. Let's play a little music. Last week, there was a little request for Vivaldi, so I have some Vivaldi to play for you today. This is his Concerto in G major. It's also known as like Concerto Rustica. And after the live stream is over, I'll go back and put it in the description. I'll link it, the IMSLP. I'll pop that in for you. I hope that the sound is all right. Unfortunately, I can't tell. Aw. Okay, so here we go. Some Vivaldi for you. I hope this brings you some happy vibes. This goes out to you, and I hope you enjoy it. And by the way, this is not a performance. This is just a a sharing of something that's pretty. So there will probably be some mistakes. Oh, I stacked my harp there. So, wasn't that fun? I just love that piece. I will pop that in the description later for you, but you can find it on IMSLP. It's called Concerto Rustica or Rustico or something by Vivaldi, the great Vivaldi. I'm also going to play you some Telemann, but let me just interrupt with a little commercial about what's going on in August over on Patreon. We've got a special guest artist coming towards the end of August. And I met him at Julie Lyon Lieberman, one of my fiddle teachers, Strings Without Boundaries workshop. So here is Jason Anick, and he's a jazz violinist, and he's got an incredible classical background, went to the top conservatories, and now does a lot of really cool stuff. And somewhere I have his book. It's called Fingerboard Mastery. I'll put that in the description too. And it's all about learning the fingerboard in terms of chords, which is so helpful for us violinists and violists because we don't usually think about chords. Like a guitarist, they think about chords quite a lot. But for us on the violin, we're thinking melody, so we're not really thinking of chords. And even if you're not wanting to play jazz or improvisation or anything, if you play Bach's music will be like you'll understand another layer of the onion of Bach's music if you understand the chords that you're playing. So he's going to be coming to, let's see, here it is, August 22nd, which is a Thursday. He's going to be coming to do a guest artist class talking about this subject at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Jason Anick. So that's August. We also have a violin viola group class. We usually have two, but this is the first time that we're just going to have one. But we also have a virtual studio circle. The fourth Friday of August, we have a virtual studio circle tonight for July. And we're going to be just recapping the month, see what people got up to, have a little chit chat, and also have some time to share some things. So our virtual studio circle, bring a cup of tea or your favorite drinky drink and come have a little chit chat with your fellow musicians. And I've also started another tier on Patreon. It's called Biscuits and Tea, where you can have a 30-minute lesson in addition to all the other things. And we're also going to be starting a really cool fall series. It's called Fall August, Exploring the Dark Side. And we're going to be exploring 4 weeks in August, all some magical things having to do with the dark side. I've got some songs to share with you. They'll eventually trickle out to YouTube. But if you're just wanting to get in the fall vibes, hop over and join me on Patreon. $5 to get access to the videos, $15 for the group classes, $45 for the guest artists and group classes and everything. And then Biscuits and Tea is the last tier that I have. That's linked below for you. So, some Telemann. So for all of you violas out there, this goes out to you. I know we all love this piece so much. The pressure, try and give it my best shot. So Concerto in G Major by Telemann. So I made it. Phew. Let me grab some Livy, and we're going to read this really funny story about some flute players back in like 300 BC. So fun to have a little music bubble time. Last week was our first one of these little series, and I said that us musicians need to take over the internet for the next period of time, or maybe just forever. Just because it's fun to have a little music bubble moment, delve into something that's beautiful, have a little story, have a little catch up with things. So please share this if you enjoy it, and also encourage your friends and even yourself to do the similar thing. Let's just send out some fabulous vibes to everybody. And also, next Friday, my niece is visiting from England, and we look the same. By the way, it's so funny. Like I'm just like 20 years older than she is, but she's going to be visiting, so I won't do a live stream this next Friday, but I'll get back on track with the following one. So, the story of the flute players from Livy. Now, this is grandfather Livy. He lived at the time of Julius Caesar. I think he was maybe a little bit younger. He would have been younger anyway. So, this is like 640, 30 BC, that time period before Jesus Christ. And there's a very funny story in here about some flute players. So, gather round, chickens. So, this is in the year 312 BC. I would pass over a rather insignificant event of this same year, but for its apparent connection with religion. The flute players had been forbidden by the last censors to take their meal in the temple of Jupiter, a long-standing tradition. And in a fit of pique, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, they decamped en masse to Tiber, leaving no one in the city to play music at the sacrifices. So on a side note, music was an essential part of religious practices in the ancient world. So important that they literally could not do any religious services, sacrifices, anything at all to appease the gods. And by the way, there's like wars going on, and they like need to have their religious sacrifices. So it's a big deal for the musicians to just leave. They go to a different town that's like, I don't know, 15 miles outside the city. Who knows? But not too far. But not in Rome. So they're not in Rome anymore. And they leave en masse because they're not allowed to have their meal in the temple of Jupiter. So in a fit, they left. The religious implications of this affair held the Senate's attention, and they sent spokesmen to Tibur, the town, with a request that all efforts be made to have the men returned to Rome. The Tiburtines generously undertook to do so. They first of all had the flute players summoned to the Senate House, where they were encouraged to return to Rome. But when they were unable to persuade them, they had recourse to plan well suited to the men's character. This is so funny. So just encouraging them, didn't really work. So they had to appeal to their character, see if they could get them another way. So the second way, on a feast day, various Tiburtine citizens invited groups of them home, ostensibly to provide the feast with music. They plied them with wine, for which that profession has an inordinate thirst, which is so funny, until they passed out. So they plied them with wine until they passed out at this party, until they passed out, and then they threw them fast asleep into wagons and carted them off to Rome. The pipers had no awareness of this until the light hit them the next morning, severely hungover in the carts, which had been left in the forum. People then gathered and persuaded them to stay, and they were granted a 3-day period each year to wander through the city in ceremonial dress, with music and the wild abandon that is the norm today. Furthermore, the right was restored to those who played at sacrifices to have their meal in the temple. This was going on while the city was preoccupied with 2 very serious wars. So anyway, that's the story of the flute players. It's in book 9 of Livy's History of Rome. I love Livy's History of Rome. I really loved books 1 through 5. Maybe we can take a little read a little selection from 1 through 5 next time. 6 through 10, it has been very well loved. I love delving into this time period. So, anyway, I think with that, you guys, that's gonna wrap up our little time together. I don't know if you noticed, I have a new thing in the background here. There's a video coming out at some point about that. I also have a music video that's coming out, in the next few days. Those of you on Patreon, you'll get it first. Thank you for your support there. And also thank you all here on YouTube, for being here and for your support and for watching me over all these years. It's really special to connect with you, and I know that my, technological I can't do very w I struggle with technology, and so I just appreciate you sticking around, and, I'm trying to do better with technology. Hopefully, you'll see that with videos as they start to trickle out. Um, One last thing about Patreon, the way to get the most bang for your buck on Patreon is to come to the group classes. I really think that those are so much fun. The weekly videos are great, hopefully, but if you want to get a lot more out of your musical experience and connect more and make some musical friends, come out to our group classes. We do 2 of them usually every month. In August, there's just one, where I plan a little lesson, and then we might put someone on the spot if anybody would like to just have a little masterclass time. Don't let that word scare you. It's just a little time where you are on the spotlight and we get a little mini lesson and we all learn. And I also give us a little individual practice time too. So it's just your mid-month music bubble at the group classes. We also have our virtual studio circle, which is our monthly check-in. We have one tonight, which I mentioned earlier. See how everybody's doing. Hear what favorite books were this month, and see what people have been up to musically this month. See if anyone got any new instruments, things like that. And then just kind of have a little chit chat. But it's also a time for you to practice getting out of your comfort zone if you would like, whether it's just saying hello to everybody or actually playing something. Works in progress are obviously welcome. So that's our virtual studio circle, and then our guest artist class. And every month, I invite a special guest artist to come and talk to us and teach us something. Even if you're a beginner, or even if you don't really know how to play and you just want to come and listen to it, it's so cool to be able to connect one-on-one with these people. We've been doing this for about 2 years now, so there's an archive of guest artist classes on, Patreon. There's, there must be at least 24, guest artist classes that you can, sift through and rewatch. But anyway, with that, you guys, have a magical day. Don't forget that you're a special earthling on this planet, and, you came here as well to just fly through the universe and be magical. And I will see you not next Friday on our live stream, but the following. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. And I'm reading all your comments. It's really sweet. See you soon. Bye. Bye-bye.